So I was told that to gain muscle, I have to eat more carbohydrates. I don't want to eat more carbohydrates. So is this true? Do I have to eat more carbohydrates in order to put on muscle?
Okay, so first I'm going to tell you, and I'm not going to cite specific studies, but there are, I'll just say studies. There are studies out there on this very question. And then I'll tell you what my own personal experience has been. So there are several studies on keto-adapted athletes show that over the course of anywhere from 3 weeks to 10 weeks, depending on how the study was built, that the keto-adapted athlete versus a standard diet athlete, let's say 30% fat, 30% protein, 40% carbs is what I'm going to consider standard. So keto-adapted versus standard athlete, the keto-adapted athlete had as much or more muscle synthesis than the control diet, the standard diet.
What is muscle synthesis?
So that is the building of new muscle,
right?
Mm-hmm. Synthesizing new muscle. Not only that, keto athletes produced more testosterone, which for men is a good thing, right? Mm-hmm. Produced more testosterone, and were shown to have greater rates of endurance, to have greater rates of recovery, and to suffer less muscle soreness. So if you've ever heard of something called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, keto athletes have less DOMS than their standard diet counterparts in these studies.
That's one of my favorite things about doing strength training on keto is when I'm off keto, the muscle soreness is just terrible. And I have to use supplements to cut down on muscle soreness. But when I'm in ketosis and I'm keto adapted, or fat adapted rather, I don't get as sore.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah. And I notice that too. I don't get as much muscle soreness unless we're switching up a program. Like we've been doing a cycle of a certain thing for a long time, and then we jump to something new. Like we haven't been doing deadlifts for a while, and now we're doing deadlifts again. I had some soreness from the deadlifts, but it was gone after the first time. Like now it doesn't even hurt. So beta hydroxybutyrate, basically the main ketone your body makes, is anti-catabolic. So that's muscle eating, muscle destroying, muscle wasting.
So that's why you hear keto's a muscle sparing diet.
Right. So when you're fat adapted, your muscles will primarily use free fatty acids for fuel, and that leaves ketones available to go to your heart and to go to your brain. So that's good. And ketones are actually, like we said, anti-inflammatory, and they think, inflammation in the body is one of the things that destroys muscle. So anything that's anti-inflammatory is good for muscle synthesis. Ketones are also less oxidative, produce less oxidative stress on your body. So all of this leads to the ability to spare muscle and to actually synthesize new muscle. And I already hit that. All right, so that's like all that stuff. There's tons of studies on this. There's guys doing studies on it now, keto-adapted athletes and endurance and things like that. My experience has been the same, right? My experience has been that I have put on more muscle now that I've been in ketosis for like 2 or 3 years than I was when I was just a standard diet. I have less soreness, I have less muscle aches, I have fewer injuries. In fact, I haven't had an injury since I've been in ketosis. I don't know if that's because I'm just paying more attention or if I just feel better, but I haven't had any injuries. So ketogenic athletes have shown to have more power. So in my gym, there are guys that are stronger than me. They just are. They're 4 inches taller than me, weigh 40 pounds more than me, and they can deadlift 100 pounds more, bench press 100 pounds more than me. They just can. But in strength/endurance exercises, I beat them pretty much every time. So there's one of the ones we do is a 5-minute assault bike. And if you've ever been on the assault bike and went all out on an assault bike for 30 seconds, it's like death. Yeah. People hate it. So we do a 5-minute assault bike just to see what the amount of calories we can burn. Basically is a measure of your power output. And I beat everybody. And I could have gone even harder or faster, but I might not be as strong as them, but I have more endurance and strength over time than they do. So. And
on a standard American diet, you can tap into your glycogen stores. But once you become, there's a limited amount of glycogen stores your body can pull. But once you are fat adapted, your body can pull thousands of calories from stored body fat. Even if you're lean, you still have thousands and thousands of calories of stored body fat. And your body knows how to get that energy faster because you've trained it to do that.
Right. The one thing that all of these studies had in common was that the keto-adapted athlete, while they might have the same amount of muscle synthesis or just a little bit more than their standard diet counterparts, they always had better body composition after the study was over, which means that they actually, while gaining more muscle or gaining the same amount of muscle, lost more fat, right? So they were actually tapping into those fat stores. And that's the goal for most of us, right? Is to...
We don't want to lose weight. We want to lose fat.
Maintain muscle because it's healthy for our body.
Yeah.
And lose fat.
Yeah. It's the fat loss we're after. We don't want to lose the muscle. We all want to be stronger, male or female.
Right. So, and there's a lot of muscle wasting diseases that later in life, so you'll hear people talk about cancer, cachexia, and sarcopenia in aging adults, osteoporosis, osteopenia, that's, bone loss. So ketosis can help with all of these things.
With prevention.
Right, with prevention, yeah.